Like, I don't live in your world. You guys will live in a world of a story that you created for yourself. Yeah? For example, what's your name, my lovely? Kerry. Kerry. Once upon a time, you had an imaginary friend called Keris.
Yeah. Carter.
And then your parents and the whole world loved her more than you. So you pretended to be her, and now you're stuck in that character forever until you lose her. It's called your ego. And you will always be stuck in that character. And that character is built to live in a story that these institutes teach you, which is good and evil are real.
Let's talk about facts.
If you want to have intellectual discussions.
Spiritually oriented, a beautiful farm.
Who you are beyond the personality.
I'm a human being, same as you. Be who you are.
But to answer your question,
What is really going on? And let's get into this.
And what is happening, Wirgo Warriors? Welcome to the wonderful world of Wirgo, the place where we get asked what is really going on. Now, today is a special episode because we're doing our first Wirgo original. Now, I went along and popped along to our local community college, which is, I have to say this correctly now, it's Coleg Y Comoedd. I think that's how you pronounce it. And my main mission there is that which I believe I'm sent here to do, which is to destroy the idea of evil. But in doing that, you also have to destroy the idea of good, because both things go hand in hand and not really true. It'll be funny for the world to see this, I think, because not many people understand what I'm talking about. So please stay tuned and see what these kids said when we offered them £100. I know it's not much. I would offer £1 million if I had it. We offered them what we had in savings, £100, to give us a working definition of evil that proves it's real and not just some fictional nonsense that we make up, which is my job. Now guys, this is a bit of a trick because I don't believe it's real, and I've not met anyone in my entire life who can convince me that it is real. With, like, say, a working definition. The definition in the dictionary states that it is profoundly wicked and immoral. But to me, wicked is and immoral are synonyms of evil. So it's using evil to define itself, making it a circular definition. Let us know what you think. Watch now to see what others say. It is mostly me speaking, so I have to tell you this is the first time with masses of teenagers I've spoken to. I've done adults and I'm going to do a lot more on that, but it's the first time with teenagers, and this is our main audience. So adults are a little harder to work with, they're a little stuck in their ways. Teenagers seem to be a bit more spongy. They like to listen and think, I might work things out. And besides, when I stick an extra in there, like £100, they tend to try and have a little pushback and see what they can say. But, well, you'll see what I mean now when you watch this. Let us know what you think down below in the comments, and look out for more fantastic Wirgo originals like this one.
I don't need £100.
Everybody needs £100, buddy. There's a war going on. What's that? Right. Do you know what a definition is? Do you know what a definition is? A definition is a mathematical structure of what a word means. So if I said to you, here's a popular one. What's a woman? Yeah, if I said to you, what is a woman, how would you describe that? Well, you could point at it, I would get that, but as a definition, what would you say it was? If I told you it was a human adult female for most people, and then whatever you feel like for other people, would you make sense to you? And you go, oh, that's what a woman is. So, like, I'll give you a better example. If I said to you, what's a sign? You could say a sign is something that has words on it, gives instructions, yeah? That's the definition of a sign. So if I said to you, you can prove to me that evil is real, I'll give you a better idea, right? I'll start again. I think that since you've been children, somebody's polluted your mind with the idea that there's good and evil in the world, and since then you've learned to hate war and just have all sorts of things like anger and stuff.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You can't really agree with it.
So what I'm saying is, there's no such thing as evil. It's just a fictional concept that says to you, I won't find the reason why that person did that. And therefore, your entire life you've lived in a story, believing that everything is good and evil. Well, not you, your imaginary friend that you became.
Yeah, that's right.
So once upon a time, I made an imaginary friend called Carl. What's your name, pal?
Rio.
Rio.
It's not Rio.
Well, it doesn't matter if it is or not. You know, once upon a time, you had an imaginary friend called Rio, and then your family and all the world preferred that friend over you, so you pretend to be him now. And you're stuck in this character inside a story filled with words, and without any English, you'd be lost, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You couldn't think, you couldn't do anything. But that wasn't handed to us by God, was it? Mathematics was. Before you spoke English, you spoke mathematics. That's how you learned what English was. You learned that this letter plus this letter equals this word, and this word plus this word equals this sentence, yeah? So forth, so forth. Your natural language is mathematics, but you've been tricked into English, so you live in a story. It's called the fall of man. You've fallen into a story they created for you. Guys, we're here. It'll be very difficult, but you can try.
Yeah, I'll try.
Go for it, then. You have to give me a logical explanation of what evil is. If you can tell me what evil is, and it is real, I'll give you £100. But
Evil is.
I'm sorry to tell you, to me it isn't real, never has been. I'm autistic, I don't live in your world. You guys will live in a world of a story that you created for yourself. Yeah? What's your name, my lovely? Kerry. Keris. Once upon a time you had an imaginary friend called Keris.
Carter.
And then your parents and the whole world loved her more than you, so you pretended to be her, and now you're stuck in that character forever until you lose her. It's called your ego. And you will always be stuck in that character. And that character is built to live in a story that these institutes teach you, which is good and evil are real. And you live inside a story, all of you do.
I see your point.
Once upon a time, like I said, I was explaining it. My name's Carl, yeah? So what's your name?
Wyatt.
Wyatt is your imaginary friend that your parents and everybody preferred more than you when you were little, so you now pretend to be him and have been him, and you think you are then trapped inside Wyatt. So Wyatt is just a character within a story, and that story is called good and evil. Hence the reason God says, do not consume for the knowledge of good and evil. Great, but like about Maui fires and we're mocking them and everything. Guys, you win £100, so you can do it. You can ask us.
Hi, Mom. Good and evil are real. Come here.
Yes.
I haven't got a clue.
If you can tell me, the good and evil are real, and convince me, I'll give you £100. But no one in my entire life has been able to do it, not once. Not even professors can do it. They won't come out here because they know they can't answer that question.
Why haven't they been able to do it?
Because they're not real. They're illusions played on you as children, so you never see what's in between them, and then you can never act. The in between of good and evil is verses. No problem, but you're taught that as children. So in your heart, you will always war against something that's different from you. Because you believe in good and evil. And really all it really is positive and negative. But what's between positive and negative? Neutral, thank you. What's between good and evil? Mathematical rule, guys, so that tells verses. Does that seem right?
No, I didn't.
You've been trained your entire life to see good and evil, and it's not real. Just go ask people what good and evil is. They can't. They all have different things, subjective reasons. They'll tell you all these weird things. They'll just tell you poetry and babble to try and confuse you. And then people have said to me, Adolf Hitler is evil. I say, why? He killed loads of people. So did Churchill. Is he evil? No, he won the war. Oh, so evil is losing. No, he gassed all the Jews. I said, did he do it? Or, look, do you think Biden is running America, or do you think there's a big cabinet of people all running with him and all that? Everybody seems to think Adolf Hitler ran Germany. It was called a Nazi party, and Adolf Hitler was just the leader of it. He would give the speeches. He was really, and yes, I can see his acts were really horrid and vile, and it should never happen. You know, people shouldn't be killed and things like that. We can say that, but I tell you that they're not healthy. So if they're not healthy acts, then they're not healthy people. And people who are not healthy are just that, they're ill. They're not evil, they're ill. And if you can work out how they became ill, you can fix it. And I can tell you how they became ill, because they believe good and evil are real. And the very first things you learn were right and wrong. But that's a dualistic prospect that doesn't work in math. Math is about the positive, negative and neutral. They're free, a trinity. Christ once said this. And many other things like Allah and things like that. Not Allah, it was Muhammad, isn't it? Now, what I'm suggesting to you is they've tricked you your entire life mathematically, and you see everything dualistically. And really, you should look what's in between good and evil. What's in between good and evil, guys?
Well,
if good is the positive and evil is the negative, what's the neutral? Well, that's good, isn't it? That's positive. You don't know because no one's ever taught you. You've been taught there's only those two things. In fact, you always put a verses in between, don't you? Good versus evil. All the cartoons, all the movies. So the neutral point they've told you is war. So in you, there's a mathematical thing that you can't understand that keeps teaching you to war with something you don't like or doesn't understand. And then we get racism, and we get all sorts of prejudices, you can imagine. What's it now, new transphobia, all sorts of things like that you will get because you're always fighting against it. When really, Christ tried to tell you about love, but now it's a funny thing. But if I asked you, if I said good was just positive and evil was just negative, what's in between positive and negative, guys? Can anybody tell me? Neutral, but what's in between good and evil? Verses. Every time you watch cartoons, movies, it's verses, right? So your entire life you've been tricked into seeing the world into hatred and all that, whilst they tell you not to. But it's mathematically built in you. What language was here before you learned English?
Welsh.
Nope. I love your answer. I love that answer. Well done. What a patriot. Go on. But go on. What language did you speak before you were taught English? How did you learn English?
I didn't speak before English.
No, you did. How would you learn English otherwise? How did they teach you?
I spoke Greek.
Guys, I have to stop here just for 1 second to let you know that this lad here, I think it's the lad on screen that's being pointed at right now, he blew my mind because at this point I really wanted to laugh. It's because he gives such a cool answer. It was great. It was a great answer. He wasn't technically wrong. He stated that this was he talked baby. Sometimes people think baby is babble, but like it's not what we meant. But the question was pretty stupid because he could answer like that, and he kind of gave a correct answer. What I just meant is, what is it that what knowledge you're using to work out English, which was mathematics? So hats off this guy. What an absolute legend. You see him around, give him a pat on the back. That was a banging answer. Well done, son. It's a language that God gave to you, what I'll explain in a minute. Right? I'll tell you, it's really easy to learn, right? Well, you know it. I'll explain how it works as well, right? But like, if I said math was it, would you understand? Not abstract math, 1 + 1 + 1 2 is 3 or whatever, yeah? But what I mean is, you had to learn which letter plus which letter made which word, and which word plus which word made which sentence. Yeah, you get that? That's how, guys, I had a lot of abuse as a child, so I remember being a child and how I learned things. You've all forgotten. Because you were never children, you were all little imaginary friends, yeah? You were never children, you were created.
I feel like I get rinsed here.
You were all created at the age of 7. That's why you can't remember back past the age of 7. Your body has feelings of it. Because basically you've taken over the body, the real thing, and you're just a creation. It's called MANN, M-A-N-N, masculine mind. And what it is when they taught you good and evil, that couldn't read mathematics anymore. So Eve, your heart, had to take over. I tell you what, can you do that? Can anybody tell me what love is? Define it in words.
Liking someone enough?
Yeah, I know. So liking him, I love him. Yeah, but like, if I don't like him, like sometimes I don't like what he does, and I don't love him on the days.
Carter.
Well, it can't be that explanation, can it? Would you like me to give you one that you've never been given? It's only 3 words.
What's that?
It's acceptance and appreciation and awareness. So if you accept and appreciate something that you're aware of, so you don't accept and appreciate that he's just that, but you're aware of the math, and then you go, I accept and appreciate that for what it is. That would be love, wouldn't it? Because that's the core ingredients of love. But no one's ever taught you that, and yet you know the word love since you were born. You live in a fairy tale, guys, and I'm autistic, I don't, and that's what happens to most autistics. They're born outside but forced to live in your world. Yeah. So it's like this, you guys have all got a Windows operating system that's faulty, and I have a different operating system. You call it neurotypicals. Mine, I was abused as a child, yes, I have autism and many neurological. I do this to learn, and we're running a show now on this. We do many different things. We even teach you what transgenderism is, and how gays are not born now, they're created, because it's only the testosterone lack in your body. Nowadays, people are born with a lack of testosterone. Your body will fight against it. But if you keep eating the foods that are high estrogen and they kill your testosterone, you're not a woman, you're a feminine. In other words, I believe you're feminine inside, but you're male on the outside, therefore you're confused. That means you're a Babylonian. Babylonians are people who are confused. Babel is the confusion of the word. Yeah? And then
you can get 100 quid.
And someone who's
100 quid?
So
100 quid?
The idea is, the word evil, I tell you what, the word evil in the dictionary says that evil is profoundly wicked and immoral. But wicked means evil and immoral means evil. So that's a circular definition. It's using the word evil to define itself. It's like me saying, to define me is me. It doesn't explain anything. So it's a circular definition, which is fallacy. It means it's not logical. It's a trick. Now, I'll explain this lady, it's not an insult. Men can be 6 and women are 6, but men are built 2, 2 and 2. I keep saying men and women, masculine, feminine. I mean masculinity and femininity. Don't forget now, they're just as masculine and feminine as you are, you just have different balances. Right? Your body produces more estrogen, so you're more feminine. His produces, I hope, theirs produces more testosterone, so they're masculine. Which is why, like, gays and transsexuals, they're real, but they're not born that way. What is, they eat food, they eat estrogen in their food, which makes them more feminine on the inside. So I don't call them women, you know, the trans women, I say they're feminine. I completely believe them, because I'm the same. But I understand math, so I put logic to everything I do, because otherwise I can't see your world. So you live in a story world, right? You guys say, I am this, I am cold, I'm hungry, but you're not cold or hungry, you feel cold and hungry, but the imaginary friend tells you are. So you're constantly writing your life, and when you put things like good and evil in it, you can't see what truly is. So what I do is I say to people, many people we've seen today in town are saying things like, well, of course evil is real, this is evil, this is evil, this is evil. I said, no, that's what you see.
That's what you've been told.
I don't see that. I see poor health, ill education, abandonment, abusement. But because humans decided to ignore all that now, that doesn't exist to them.
Yeah.
And I said, and the woman, I said, so are you saying my world is different to your world, but yours is correct, mine's not. She said, no, both our worlds are correct. Okay, if that's true, and you agreeing that my world is correct, why do you choose to live in yours? If I can teach you another world. If I can show you that good and evil are not real, when you look at something, you should say, why is that happening? We live in a mathematical world, guys, of cause and effect. So if you go back, you can just keep going back and you'll just see, like, my dad, for example, used to hang me up on a door with a coat hanger through my back, you know, if I couldn't breathe when I was 3 years old, to tell me I loved him because I used to bite my mum because I was a little, because my real dad threw my mum down the stairs too many times and there was problems in birth, and I had difficulty with a lot of things as children, but my stepdad didn't understand and I thought I was evil. So, but if I look back at how he was treated, his dad was a miner, but his children weren't sent on the mines, it was the last generation. So the way he was growing up, being hard, you could die on a mine. He brought his children, who were soft, on computer games, or TV rather, computer games, when he was 21. He had an Atari, and the first one, Millipede. If I said there's no such thing as evil, there's people that are ill, they are miseducated, and when you play in things like, you know, Grand Theft Auto all day, you end up like those little kids in America right now who just run over an old man. They run over 2 guys, ran cars off the road and an old man, and now go in prison for the rest of their life. And all I did was cry for them. Even though everybody said they're evil and they go for him, but I don't see evil. I see 2 little boys who were taught that, because babies aren't born evil. They were taught that way, and now they're going to prison for the rest of their life because the world, the adults in the world, won't grow up and say, guys, there's no more good and evil. It's a story. But I don't know.
Oh, when I saw this,
that's a car. Just rammed the car for road. They're filming and laughing.
When I seen this,
No, that's speed.
Oh no, that's one.
slow down.
Nah, they still going bad.
Slow down, it's still bad, bro.
So you guys don't grow up thinking it's a story. You grow up thinking it's all real, like crime, all that. It's all story. Now, I would go further and say it's a Jewish story, but I'm saying people think I'm talking about Jewish people and religions, and that's not what I'm talking about. To me, there's Jew. That means you look at everything dualistically: good, evil, right, wrong, black, white. Then there's Buddha, oneness. You look at everything as one thing. But then you have Christ that looks at everything as three: positive, negative, and neutral. That's what the Holy Trinity is. Stop looking at people as evil and look at them like, why the f*** are they doing that? And then when you realise, like me and like everybody else, you can keep going back and back, like his old man abused him, so no wonder he's like that. But then his old man abused him. Or he got beaten up by a load of people. Why is this person racist? Well, we find out that his dad was beaten up by a bunch of, individuals he had deemed to be black people, and then he's passed his prejudices on to his son, and now his son is growing up with them prejudices. It's all learned stuff, guys. You're not born this way, you're born innocent. This is Babel, but it's put into your narrative. I live in a place called the Hymn, where everything is magical. I was going to say, but we could call it mathematical. That is magic, but in maths. Everything is mathematical. It's the language we didn't create, it was here before us. We discovered it, it's God's language, yeah? Okay. But you guys have been taught a fictional language of story, so you live in a place called the narrative. You walk around and you say, I am hot, I am this, yeah? But you're not those things, you feel hot now, but you're tricked into saying those things every day. So you narrate your story and live in it, and then you wonder why it's so crap, and I'm saying, why you do write it crap?
I very much enjoy the way you think. I really do.
I was, highly abused. My stepdad, my birth dad abused my mum, used to throw her downstairs and beat up when I was in the womb. So I was for 10 months it took me to come out.
Who's your stepdad?
Penrod. No, not anymore, he was. And then he learned, but then again, I'm from Abertredo originally, so, maybe, good girl, hey, nice. So, so I'm originally from Abertredo. My dad's parents were mining folk, and whereas when my grandfather was the last generation to go down, he went down with his dad. So they were grown, their dads and all, I knew they would die every day, so they didn't want their kids to die, so they treated them rough and tough, yeah? You can imagine that. So when my bamp went down, he didn't need to do it for his boys, because everything closed down and things like that. So they grew up on pop music in the 80s and 70s and stuff, and so they became soft, but the dad was still hard. So that reflected on his education for him. So when my father grew up, he believed in evil and things. So when he saw me at free, traumatized, biting my mum and things like that because I was free and didn't understand. My mum, she comes from a gypsy family. They're not the best with their children, to be honest, right? So when that happened, I was just treated awfully as a child, and then I couldn't get out of the traumas that already set in. But they didn't know that. They were told, it's okay, your baby's right. No book to tell you what to do. There is. That's what the Bible does. It's not a holy book. It tells you how to raise children. The very first thing on the first page in there is, do not consume good and evil. It will kill your masculine mind. You will be able to stop thinking, and your heart will think for you. I remember my dad and I staying up all night on now as 3 years older and stuff like that because I had so much trauma as a kid. But the truth of this is a trick. It isn't real, so you can never prove to me it's real, because even in the dictionary, if you go read it, it says evil is profoundly wicked and immoral. But if wicked is a synonym of evil and immoral is a synonym of evil, then it's really said that evil is profoundly evil, which is a circular definition.
I very much, I could listen to you talk all day about this.
We have a show called Wirgo. You should go and check it out.
Please.
I absolutely will. If I didn't have lessons, I would absolutely stay.
No,
Try to remember it though, Wirgo, yeah.
What is really going on?
Where's your cards?
It isn't in depth as ours in the past. That's the old idea of talking about Adam and Eve. It's representing the masculine and feminine inside each and every single one of you. It's not the first man and woman on the planet, man. Who really believes Adam and Eve are the first people on the planet that had 3 sons and populated the entire planet? No. But if I told you they're the first spiritual things inside you, Adam comes aware of itself, yeah? Because it can do math. So it's like, you have the power of God. So it's like, whoa, you're the only being on this planet that's aware of itself. Do you know that? No other being is. Only one. And if I said to you, the only other being on the planet, that's aware of itself the way we are, and it shows you we're made in the image of that which created us. So you're not God, but if God was a human, or if God was on Earth, this is what God would look like. So you've watched, you watched Rick and Morty, yeah? Yeah, I love it. Right, and you know the alternate dimensions, different bricks, yeah? Now, we have alternate dimensions. In our system, God is the sun, yeah? He represents himself as a sun in that space. But on the Earth, God represents it. It's just Earth is just another dimension to space, which is another dimension to everything else, yeah? So this dimension, we are God. There's no need for 8 billion of us, but that's slavery and things like that, innit? That's how that goes. So anybody think they can prove to me that evil is real to win £100? It will put you. It says kill you, but it's talking about your eye. So in the garden, nothing dies; it can regrow. Yeah, so it's not gone forever. But your Adam, which means your prefrontal cortex, your intellect, is now dead. You think of your heart, and your heart is dualistic. It doesn't have a component of 3 things. You can't do math, so it sees everything as right and wrong, good and evil. That's Eve, yeah. Yeah. That's your intuition. So when your intuition sees things now, there's a verses in between because it's never been taught. It's the feminine part of it. That's why females can be explained as sex and men can be explained as sex, but men are built 2, 2 and 2, and females are built 3 and 3. Look at females. Any woman, even this lovely lady there, she identifies as so, right, will tell you that she can be the most empathic person here, but she can also be the biggest BR. Right? That's narcissism and empathy, guys. They're the names Cain and Abel that you know in the Bibles. Eve thinks like that, narcissist and empathy, and all you guys think femininely. You might think you're men, but unfortunately no. You can't think with your brains unless you believe this and you go, I understand this. You understand this, then you probably do have a good Adam up there, and has been autistic. How do you do your math in your head?
I'm not very good at maths.
You're just. Well, I don't mean abstract math. I mean, like, when you look at things, do you work at the process of them first? Like, how does it work?
Yeah,
that's mostly what autistic people do. But do you know neurotypicals? They do things like they miss a component of math out. Whereas most autistics, or should do, what the confusion is, you should see the world as positive, negative, and neutral. But they're trying to convince you that it's basically. I tell you what, another explain it is. They're all on Windows, yeah, and you're on Apple Mac or whatever, yeah, or Linux or whatever another program is. You'd have a different operating system to these, and now that is, it just works things out differently. You're trying to force their education on yourself, but your brain is refusing, and that's what's going to cause you problems with things. You're going to get upset by good and evil more than any of these because it's not real, and part of you knows it's not real, but they don't see that yet. Unless, obviously, I show them. Hopefully this young lady is thinking, wait a minute, maybe it isn't real. No book to tell you what to do. There is. That's what the Bible does. It's not a holy book. It tells you how to raise children. The very first thing on the first page in there is, do not consume good and evil. It will kill your masculine mind. You will be able to stop thinking, and your heart will think for you. And your heart can't put something in between. It's feminine. It's free and free. Females, they're the most beautiful beings on this planet, and they can be of more care than men in most cases. You try pissing them off and see what happens. Right? They go the opposite direction really, really fast. I know I grew up with all females. Well, I work with all females. I'm a beautiful wife. I have 3 daughters. You have 3 daughters? I said, check in a minute. I was like, I have 3. And I know exactly what they can be like. But that's no different to me. The feminine is in me as well. You boys are the same. How many times can you be really nice but then go off the world on something? Because we grow up in a feminine world. They trick us into thinking it's a masculine world, but it's not. It's a feminine world. Masculinity is all about mathematics. That means they'll do it. Masculinity is 2, 2 and 2. Still sex is still equal to femininity, but they're built different. Now, if we both are the same, what's the point? We need to be different a little bit, don't we? So we have something to relate to. Otherwise, I'd be like, hi babe, how you doing? But I wouldn't be interested. But she's female, she's completely different than me, I love it. She challenges me all the time because she's different. And the way to get them different but equal is make sure it adds up the same, but you're built differently. All the illnesses, do you know why it's called a tree of knowledge? It's because it's the very first thing, like a family tree, turn it upside down, the very first knowledge you learn, and then off that, Jordan Peterson once said, all knowledge should be treated like a box. Once you learn it, every knowledge you learn from that knowledge should be placed in it. So if that knowledge is untrue, then you have to throw it all away. Because everything is tainted. A tree of knowledge, same thing. The first thing you learn is good and evil, and off that everything else, hate, how are good and evil. If you learn life is mathematical. It shows you mathematics. But you learn good and evil and teach out. And the reason it's called a tree is because you can chop branches off, and I can teach you now and chop the branches off, but you know the roots inside you, they don't got a clue what I'm saying. That's why it causes anxiety when people overthink this. You need to be able now to do actions and put actions in place to show your body that none of this is real. You have to, every time something goes and you think that's evil, like you see like a rapist or a child offender of some sort, you go, oh, what a sick, go, wait a minute. Is that guy just really ill and has been made this way by our society and people, and we're just blaming it all on one guy? We can see his actions as vile, so you can always do the right thing. Actions are vile. You shouldn't hurt children, you shouldn't do these things. We can all agree on that. But nobody's asking why it happened. I said, if you go back and ask why my dad did the things that he did to me, you'll find out what his parents and society did to him, and you can go back and back and back. If you think your parents or your sisters or brothers that you hate so much right now in your lives because they've smashed your Xbox game up, or they told you look fat or something, yeah, understand there's a reason they did that. Sometimes it might be to hurt you, but that's called narcissism. It means they're lacking something called empathy. And just like you wouldn't be upset with a guy who can't walk because his legs were taken from him, you shouldn't be upset with a human being that had empathy taken from him as a child, that doesn't have it anymore, that can't think like you and will hurt people.
Right, I'll try, but then I gotta go.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll go ahead.
So, a kid can be raised neutral, or born neutral, or good, evil, whatever.
Yeah.
But that kid's parents, who may be teaching them to good and evil, they will grow up thinking that's the right way.
Yeah, they'll think that's the correct way, yes.
So then, that could be passed on generations on generation, which could cause problems throughout the child's life and so on and so on.
So if I said to you that I'd say that's absolutely true, but I call that illness. The fictional term would be evil, but that wouldn't be real, would it? It's like a fairy tale way of writing it, so that we can have bad guys and good guys. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have bad guys and good guys, would we? So it's just a story.
Bad guys, good guys, that's good and evil.
Yeah, but like I said, that's in fairy tales, yeah? In real life, we pretend that's what's happening, but really, like we discussed, it's just education and that. But like, you can tell me, yeah, I see evil, and I go to, yeah, I know, you're a narrator, you're just writing it as evil, but it's not real, it's fictional. What's really real is illness. But you just explained, that if the parents, teachers, it's illness and miseducation. But again, you watch The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. The Matrix is the story you live in, and how Neo enters it all the time is Neo became that person he was before he created the imaginary friend, and every time he changes without his plugs and everything, that's his imaginary friend, your ego. So you still need that to communicate with each other the way it is, to drive cars and do all this stuff. So you guys still need to do all that. So you just imagine, if you can unplug from it and say, right, maybe evil's not real, it is a story. Like, you can look at anything like that. I mean, think about it, if you see evil, right, can you have war or take slaves or anything like that without evil? If the government can't convince you they're evil, how do you do that?
I'm diagnosed.
You can't, can you? But if they convince you that these individuals are different and evil...
I'm autistic as well.
You're autistic. How do you do your math in your head?
I'm not very good at maths.
Fucking rinse, finally, Dean.
Say that?
Yeah, Dean's gonna beat us.
Well, if you want to know what the dictionary says, guys, the dictionary says that evil is profoundly wicked and immoral, but wicked and immoral are synonyms of evil, so the dictionary tells you that evil is evil, which is a circular definition, which is illogical. It's like me telling you a post, explaining a post to you is a post. It wouldn't tell you anything, would it? So what it is, we call words like this babble. It means it's a confusion of the word. There's no mathematical structure to it, it's just to confuse you. So like I said, your entire life you've written a story and you fell into it. And that's where they took it to fall of man. Right? You fell into a story, and hopefully one day you'll get yourself out of that story, and you'll see what it is. And you'll narcissistically abuse people and everything. All you got to do is learn narcissism, what it is. You'll find it in yourself. All human beings are narcissistic and empathetical. It's just how balanced you are. But be careful of the road, buddy. So, if you've grown up around highly narcissistic individuals like I did, all my family, I was horrible narcissistic father to my first bunch of children until I had a mental break, and then I no longer wanted to. My imaginary friend died. The world killed it, and then I was left alone. And this is 4 years later. My wife helping me and my family, and I'm building a new imaginary friend. And his name is Jesus Christ. The source of Christ. Because no one else is talking about him. Jesus Christ just means source of. Christ means Trinity. So Trinity math. You know what I'm trying to tell you? You need to find Christ in you rather than Jew. The Jew in you is there in your heart, is telling you everything is dualistic. Good, evil, right, wrong. If you start going, what's in between them? Yeah? You see, all math is free, yeah? Positive, negative, neutral. In math we call it minus, plus, and zero. The zero is the only one that's one of itself. Everything comes in a minus or plus form. Therefore, the only thing that's one of itself is God. Guys, if you balance yourself in between you, be as selfish as you can be. I tell you stories that even Christians don't know. It was once about a rich man, and he wanted to know what to do, and Jesus said to him, give it all away, and it'll be returned to you tenfold. Now, everybody sees that as a selfish thing, give all your money away. But what he didn't realize is Jesus also said, if you give it away, you'll get 10 times back. So that's selfish, eh? Yeah. He never taught one way. Everybody thinks he's good and things like that. He told you had no enemies. Even Buddha said there's no right or wrong. There's a place, there's a field in between. That's where I'll meet you. Hi guys, how you doing? Good. Do you want to know what this means? Yeah. Right. It's just saying if you can prove to me with a logical definition of what evil is, I advise you look at Google. He's not going to like that answer though. I'll give you £100. I'll tell you the trick, ready? It's not real. This is a trick question. It's not real, but you're going to believe it is. So you're going to try and win it. What do you think now? Do you think you can convince me it's real after what I've told you?
I'm thinking.
Well, you have time. You don't have to wait it a day. We'll be back another time if you want. The money's always going to be there. There you go. Yeah. You won't.
Well,
No, you're not.
I can't.
Well, do you believe everybody thinks like you and doesn't believe it's real?
I can't tell you because nobody, like everyone thinks, everyone has different opinions today, so I can't tell you what's good because you might think something's good and I might not.
But I don't want to tell you what's good. I want you to prove it is real. Do you believe evil is real? Well, and guys, there's our first episode wrapped up on W.I.R.G.O Originals. There's going to be a lot more coming. We apologise for the footage and everything. This is our very first time doing it. It actually was at the end of their lunch break because it was raining prior to that moment. And then all of a sudden the blue skies came out and we was like, oh God, we have like 10 minutes. So we got out and tried to get as many people as we can as they were coming back in. But next time we'll have a lot more time, hopefully. We're not only going to do that, we got other colleges to go to, we got people to speak to. My job here is to eradicate evil everywhere. And this is how I'm going to do it. You can call me Jesus Christ if you want. You can see me as just an idiot from Wales. It doesn't matter. I have been sent here from the hymn down here into the narrative to lead you all out of it. I can't do it alone. So in this, my motto is simply this. We will lead each other into the light. Wirgo, what is harmony?